Welcome, Trinidad and Tobago, to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I am Gregory McBurney. Let's take a look at the headlines. Work being done in the construction of the Point Fortin to San Fernando Highway to be done to the highest standards. A tertiary education institute will be set up to focus on oil drilling. And a flood alleviation project in the capital city, a result of 3 loans from the IDB. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is taking greater steps to dovetail this country's education sector with its greatest means of income. Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, Senator the Honorable Fazal Karim, has announced that a tertiary education institute will be set up to focus on oil drilling.
Cabinet this morning approved the establishment of a drilling school at the National Energy Skills Center at the Eugene St. Madeleine compound in South Trinidad. This is very historic, for even though Trinidad and Tobago has been in excess of 100 years in E&P, exploration and production of oil, this is the first time in its history that we are having the launch of a dedicated drilling school.
Minister Karim says the school will be set up in conjunction with the National Energy Skills Center, or NESC, and will cost $18,886,961. The NESC is a non-profit foundation which partners with the government and the energy sector to promote skills and technical training aligned to meet the needs and aid in the development of energy-related industries. It currently has 11 centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago with a capacity of 1,500 trainees. 120 more trainees will be added to the Skills Center when the first drilling technology program comes on stream, with an estimated 5,000 persons set to benefit.
There's an estimated 5,000 persons who can be provided through this avenue of the drilling school in such occupational areas as derrickman, rig mechanics, rig electricians, tool pushers, assistant drillers, and drillers. The drilling school will be located on the compound of the former Caroni 1975 Limited Transport and Field Engineering Department at Eugene St. Madeleine. It is expected to be located on 6,000 square feet, which will include 4 classrooms, workshops, stores room, staff room, conference room, offices, common services area, among others. The project cost also includes the procurement of specialized equipment, tools, and furniture.
Minister Karim says the facility and the courses of study offered will address labor market needs, as there is currently a shortage of persons with the necessary skills for the energy sector.
There is in fact that need for these areas of competences, and it is also about the creation of jobs and sustainable jobs responsive to the labor market needs of the country.
The drilling technology programs to be offered by the school will be 1-year-long courses, but there will be shorter courses offered depending on the needs of the energy sector. Government will engage in a flood alleviation project in the capital city as one of the major projects being undertaken as a result of 3 important loans from the Inter-American Development Bank. Senator the Honorable Dr. Boin Vedat Tiwari, Minister of Planning and Sustainable Development, made the disclosure during this week's post-cabinet media briefing.
Loans approved by the Inter-American Development Bank IDB have been allocated for the construction of a linear park that will bridge the communities of East and West Port of Spain, while at the same time alleviate the flooding problem caused in the area. Minister of Planning Dr. Bo Tiwari, in making the announcement at this week's post-cabinet media briefing, says a 1.8-kilometer park will be constructed as the first project funded by the 3-part loan.
This loan consists of 3 parts. The first one is focused on the critical areas prone to flooding in Port of Spain and consists of $90 million of the $120 million loan. And this intervention will cover the necessary civil works to mitigate flooding events in the area of Port of Spain. And the third part will involve $20 million aligned to finance all the civil and landscaping works for the implementation of a 1.8 kilometer linear park located at the St. Anne's River on the Dry River. The linear park will be designed in conjunction with the catchment analysis and drainage works design, and the river discharge is one of the most problematic areas in Port of Spain in terms of flooding. So what we will try to do is to solve the flooding problem there in the East Dry River area as one of the points.
The minister added that apart from civil infrastructural works, the loan will fund the digitization of the Registrar's General Department.
The second loan is a $20 million loan for strengthening information management at the Registrar General's Department. And that particular loan has to do with the digitization of all Registrar General Department's documents not currently in digital format. The loan will also be used to train Registrar General Department staff in archiving and document restoration. It will design and implement a new ICT system upgrade to facilitate information exchange with its stakeholder institution in order to make it more accurate.
Under the IDB loan, the Planning and Development Ministry is seeking to advance the diversification process here in Trinidad and Tobago. Minister Tiwari alludes that this process will be used as a tool for creating local businesses on a global scale.
The third loan involves a loan of US $18 million to fund the Global Services Promotion Program. Trinidad and Tobago is a country that is very, very committed to the business of diversification, and our government strategy, of course, is to diversify in 7 areas, the energy sector being one, but the other 6 being outside of energy entirely. And a lot of those areas have to do with the services sector. And what we are doing here,
the loan secured is said to be in a total of US $158 million, and the Registrar's Improvement Project is said to have already begun. Kimberam Calawan, News 4.
We take a break. When we return, we hear more about what the government is doing to protect farmers from predial larceny. Welcome back. Criminals who steal crops and livestock may want to think twice about committing an offense of this nature. This as security measures have been put in place to protect farmers, their crops and animals. Penal farmers were introduced to the new predial larceny unit by the Minister of Food Production.
The launch of the new predial larceny unit in Penal was done in keeping with promises made by the People's Partnership Government in its manifesto when it came into office. This is according to the Honorable Devant Maraj, Minister of Food Production. Minister Maraj, who gave the feature address, stated that predial larceny has been noted as a huge constraint to the local agriculture sector and is the single most discouraging aspect of farming as it threatens investment and livelihood.
And this has to be taken beyond the context of an issue that affects farmers. This area of predial larceny fits into the greater issue of criminal activity in Trinidad and Tobago. They are stealing. It's just in this case, they are not breaking into somebody's home or robbing them on the road and holding up them at gunpoint. You can't hold up a pumpkin at gunpoint. They go in the farm late at night and they steal.
Minister Maraj chided the previous administration for not implementing proper legislation to assist farmers. In the same breath, he noted that the issue was dealt with immediately by the PP government when it came into office.
As I said, there was no political will to see it materialize in any meaningful way for the farming community. As such, I approached the Minister of National Security, and we got Cabinet approval to establish this Pradial Larceny unit in March of this year. And we are in December in Pinal, in the constituency of Oropouche, with an interface session between farmers of the Southern District and officers of the Pradial Larceny squad. March to now, is that about 6-8 months? This thing could have been done over a decade ago, and farmers would have benefited, and the nation as a whole would have been able to be benefiting from lower food prices and the more abundance of food supply throughout Trinidad had it been implemented way back when.
Also speaking at the launch was the Honourable Stacey Roopnarine, Member of Parliament for Oropouche West. She applauded the initiative, saying that she was confident farmers would benefit.
This constituency of Oropouche West, which I represent, have quite a lot of farmers, a very small percentage of whom are present here today. And I think that in my discussions with them since 2010 to now, there are two major challenges. One is the issue of flooding, and two is that of pradial larceny. And I really want to say that I feel this initiative today will certainly go a long way in benefiting those farmers. I've had numerous complaints from many of them.
Felicia Wilson, More News 4.
Minister of Works and Infrastructure Dr. The Honorable Suraj Ratan Rambachan is assuring that works being done in the construction of the Point Fortin to San Fernando Highway will be done to the highest standards. The minister was speaking to local contractors during a network meeting regarding the construction works of the Sir Solomon Hochoy Highway to Point Fortin project.
Over 650 jobs are to be created in the Point Fortin to San Fernando phase of the highway construction in 2014. This according to Works and Infrastructure Minister Dr. Suraj Ratan Rambachan. He was giving an outline of the schedule for works to take place in the coming new year. The minister was addressing the contractors during a workshop held at the Paria Suites Hotel to present the work plan for the project for the next year and to engage with local contractors who wish to be involved in the project.
There are several opportunities for more persons coming on site in the new year. And over the next 9 months, starting in January, a total of 650 more persons will be brought onto the job site. And amongst them will be 252 carpenters and 223 steel fixers, 51 masons, and the rest of them, of course, will be laborers, welders, truck drivers, forklift operators, electricians, jackhammer specialists, scaffolders, and of course supervisors, etc. So 650 jobs will be available in the next couple of months on this project through the OS, and of course they'll be phased in over the next 8 months onto the project.
While the first phase of the highway was opened earlier this year, the Golconda to San Fernando leg, and was completed on time by contractors OAS Constructura, the minister says all works being done are to meet international best standards.
You'll be asked to meet some exacting quality standards. And we have our own consultants who are working for NITCO, which is ACOM, international consultants of great reputation. And I can tell you that they will very quickly reject substandard and sub-quality work as they have done, to the consternation of some of the contractors who have been working on the project. But this is necessary if we are to say that we are first world country and we are adopting first world standards and to adhere to them.
The project is an enormous one and will be done in various stages. For the completion of this, contractors spearheading the construction, OAS Constructura, required the skills from local laborers and gave an invitation to members from the public to come forward and assist.
There are packages for small jobs, there are packages for big jobs. So most of the structure that we have on this construction, we'd like to have the engagement of the local contractors. So, as the minute said, we have 120 culverts to be constructed. We have, in 2014, we have 15 bridges, and the total amount of the bridges is 45. So, part of the job, we would like to have the engagement of you in order to work together.
Minister Rambachan assured the project's completion on time, as well as the cost within budgetary allocations.
We have looked at the highway with OS, and we have redesigned it so we can go around certain of the structures that are going to cost us too much money to acquire without interfering with the integrity of the highway in terms of design and safety. So I want to assure you that we are going to do all in our power to keep things on track and on time. And just to let you know at this stage that the highway is within the cost that we have set for the highway, and that there has been no cost overruns as such.
Kimberam Calawan, News 4.
In the sports news after the break, a national sporting icon is laid to rest. Olympic pioneer and sporting icon Emmanuel MacDonald Bailey was laid to rest today following a moving service at an overflowing All Saints Church in Port of Spain. Wayne Cunningham has more.
His Excellency Anthony Thomas Aquinas Carmona, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, joined a massive congregation at the All Saints Church for the funeral of Emmanuel MacDonald Bailey, sprint bronze medalist at the 1952 Olympic Games in Helsinki, Finland. Also in attendance was the Honorable Anil Roberts, Minister of Sport, as well as a number of prominent citizens and sportsmen, including Basil Ince, who gave a brief insight into the career of the great man.
Mac, as he was popularly known, was born in Hardbargen, Williamsville in 1920, but found himself on the world stage by 1946 in Britain, when he started his journey into the Guinness Book of Records. Track followers are aware of the tremendous feat he accomplished for entry into the famous book, into the Guinness Book of Records. Track followers are aware of the tremendous feat he accomplished for entry into that famous book. He scored sprint doubles in the 100 yards and to 20 yards from 1948 to 1953. Up to the present, he is the sole Trinbagonian to hold the world record in the 100 meters. In 1951, he was ranked first in the world in the 200 meters and second in the 100 meters. He also made the world rankings in the sprints on 11 occasions.
Bailey was a man for all, according to television producer Zomari Tanka, who is the granddaughter of the Olympian.
Emmanuel, Mac, the Black Flash, Mr. Bailey, Dad, Granddad, Granddad Mac, Macocious, Grand Mac, Maco, Mac. This is how my grandfather, Emmanuel MacDonald Bailey, is known and loved by his family, friends, and fans around the world. I've always felt very proud to have a famous sprinter grandfather known the world over for his athletic achievements. But there's so much more to the Mac we all know and love.
The Right Reverend Clive Abdullah, former Bishop of Port of Spain, used the opportunity to clear up a misconception.
Death is a natural passage. Death is a natural passing from one level to another. Because you see, life in Christ is one continuum. It never stops if you're part of it. And there is a spiritual connection between the two levels of living. For you see, to your faithful people, O Lord, life is changed, not ended. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
We in Cunningham. News for Sports.
More news after the break. Trinidad and Tobago and the region was well represented in South Africa as the nation celebrated the life of Nelson Mandela. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bosesa and a full delegation visited Mr. Mandela's birthplace to pay homage.
On Thursday, December 6, 2013, the world was flung into mourning as one of humanity's greatest icons passed at the age of 95. Former South African President Nelson Mandela was viewed as the 20th century's icon of freedom and liberty. Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bosesa issued a statement upon learning of the loss, saying, "The world has lost democracy's most loyal friend and advocate, who she says inspired us to believe that no obstacle is too large, no walk is too long, and no enemy of freedom is so powerful that we should never consider giving in." She said Mandela will forever be remembered as a man who fought for freedom and won it for millions around the world without once compromising his beliefs or his principles. The Honourable Prime Minister took a decision to lead a local and CARICOM delegation on Monday, December 9th, to the place of Mandela's birth to attend the state memorial service. She invited several regional leaders from Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, the Bahamas and Haiti, as well as opposition leader Dr. the Honourable Keith Rowley, opposition senator the Honourable Faris Alwari, Minister of State in the Ministry of the People and Social Development the Honourable Vanilla Allen Toppin, Chairman of the Emancipation Support Committee Kafra Kambon, and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Margaret Parilion.
Honourable colleagues who have joined us here in Port of Spain from the CARICOM, we welcome you and we look forward to your company over a very long flight. I'm sure we'll have a lot of CARICOM discussions during those many hours on board the aircraft. Today, as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and as Chairperson of CARICOM, I'm very honoured and privileged to be leading this very distinguished delegation to South Africa to attend the official state memorial service for Mr. Nelson Mandela.
During the 13-hour-long flight to Johannesburg, South Africa, the delegates were able to strengthen CARICOM and even local ties. The Honourable Prime Minister gave an indication that the aircraft which carried the delegation to South Africa will be named after the former South African president. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bosesa joined world leaders and well-wishers when she attended the state memorial, which took place at the First National Bank Stadium in Johannesburg. Following this, hundreds of persons paid their last respects and caught a glimpse of Mandela's casket as his body was transported through the streets en route to Pretoria, where it was to lie in state for 3 days. The Honourable Prime Minister was accompanied by the opposition leader to view the freedom fighter's body. Nelson Mandela's final resting place is at his home village at Kunu in the Eastern Cape Province. Mrs. Persad-Bosesa says the legacy he has left us is one we shall always celebrate, and we shall always thank God for Nelson Mandela. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services and the Ministry of Communications. I am Gregory McBurney. Thank you for joining us.